Hey everyone, I'm your guide, and this is the 7th video in a series with more than 150 entries where we'll look at the fascinating and often frightening monsters inscribed in our trusty monster manual. In each video, we'll cover what's in the manual, but also other interesting tidbits I found in my travels. This companion series is meant to educate, entertain, and elevate your excursions into the more dangerous areas of the Forgotten Realms. Everywhere from the cemetery behind your local church to the 9 hells and everywhere in between. And even some places much more interesting. So come, join me. Let's begin. When night falls, unlucky travelers hear the faint cries of the forlorn dead. This woeful spirit is a banshee, a spiteful creature formed from the spirit of a female elf. Banshees appear as luminous wispy forms that vaguely recall their mortal features. And a banshee's face is wreathed in a wild tangle of hair, its body clad in wispy rags that flutter and stream around it. Banshees, also known as a groaning spirit, are female undead phantoms. Typically a selfish and strong-willed spirit that embodies the essence of hideousness. Oftentimes, they're the spirits of elven women who, in life, had a dark soul. They're usually beings who failed to use their gift of beauty to bring joy to the world and instead used it to control and corrupt others. The living elves that are afflicted by the Banshee's curse experience no happiness, feeling only distress in the presence of the living. And as the curse takes its toll, their minds and bodies decay until death completes their transformation into undead monsters. Banshees don't actually have a defined shape, but rather a misty form with vague and flowing features that mirrors the old elven forms they had while living. As time goes on, the Banshee's form becomes more and more distorted but can still be typically regarded as humanoid in form. Banshees are forever bound to the place of their demise, unable to venture more than 5 miles from that location. They're tortured beings forced to relive every moment of its life with perfect recall. However, despite reliving their worst moments over and over, these hateful creatures refuse to accept the rightful responsibility for their doom. So if you come across a banshee in your travels, know that typically they'll be accompanied by a small horde of beautiful objects. Nothing like one might find in a dragon's hoard, but essentially a scaled down version of that. Banshees covet fine objects like jewelry, paintings, statues, but at the same time, banshees abhor any mirrored surface, for it can't bear to see the horror of its own existence. So a single glimpse of itself is enough to send it into a murderous rage. Keep that one in mind if you genuinely do have to interact with one of these entities, because that could come in handy if you need to cause some chaos. In combat, being a form of undead, banshees are immune to all manner of spells that affect the mind, such as charms or sleep spells. They're also typically impervious to harm from any form of lightning and cold sources. Banshees hate the living with an unholy fury, and as such, they can sense anyone who trespasses upon the site of their demise with a range of up to 5 miles. And along with their terrifying visage, the mere chilling touch of a banshee can drain her victim. However, the most feared and iconic weapon a banshee has is her piercing wail. This action is as harmful as any material weapon and can be outright deadly to almost all who can hear it. The banshee releases a soul-chilling scream which emanates from her and will instantly slay the less hardy among us, so perhaps plan accordingly. And that's the gist of the Banshee. These hateful beings haunt the locations near their place of death, and there's really no negotiating with them. So if you stumble upon a Banshee's lair, equip some earplugs and try not to get too spooked. Alright guys, thanks for listening to this short entry. I had to rush a little bit to make sure I got it out on Halloween, so I hope it's still at least somewhat educational or entertaining. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. Hit that like and subscribe button. This is your guide signing out. Be safe, take care, and happy trails.